Let's talk first about what has happened with this breaking news about the helicopter crash. What's your take on this?
So there were a few people in the helicopter crash. One of them was the president Raisi, and then you had the foreign minister Amir Abdullahian. This is actually a day of celebration for Iranians, even though people don't typically like that someone would celebrate death. I don't think that they have a lot of understanding about who this person is. He was known as the Butcher of Tehran. Um, he worked as a prosecutor, starting his career at 20 years old, soon becoming the deputy prosecutor of Tehran at 25, working his way up to the ranks and becoming a chief justice, where he ordered the lynching of thousands and thousands and thousands of Iranians for opposing the regime. He was part of the 1988 death committee that executed anywhere between 5 and 30,000 Iranian dissidents. So there are no tears shed for him today. And in fact, there are fireworks in all over Iran following this
Really?
news.
Well, are they not afraid to celebrate openly? Are they not afraid of retribution?
Yes, they are. I mean, yes and no. They have deployed kind of all of the military tanks to try and suppress the uprisings. But as you know, as we've all been watching for the past few years, the Iranian people aren't afraid anymore. They are taking to the streets. They are protesting. They're ready to risk their lives for freedom, because this has been going on for 45 years. And it's reached a state where when you have nothing to live for, you have everything to die for. And that's where the Iranian people are right now.
And what will be the result of this? What will happen? Will there be repercussions for this?
Well, I mean, it depends really. From what we know right now, the only thing we know is that this was an accident. It seems a little bit irresponsible that they've sent two of their most senior officials in a apparently old helicopter in the foggy mountains. They didn't invest in their protection and their safety. As far as we know right now, this is an accident. So what I do think is that it is going to kind of weaken morale for the regime. It's going to show that there's a lack of stability. That stability that they've always been portraying to the world is, in fact, a gimmick. And I think that it could lead to this could be the beginning of the crumbling of the regime.
His replacement at this point is the first vice president, and that is expected to be who?
That I don't know yet. That I haven't heard.
Do we have any idea of those that are backing him up that will move into that position? Is it expected that these are hardliners, or is it expected that these are more moderates? Do we have any idea who's likely to step into that position?
I mean, whoever steps into that position will be a hardliner. You don't make your way to that position without being a hardliner, because you have to rule this country with an iron fist, because you're dealing with millions of people uprising against the regime all the time. And so softer, more moderate mullahs haven't done too well in those positions. So yeah, it likely will be a hardliner. But the reality is that, you know, he played the role of executive. You know, he in the system of government that's similar to ours in the sense that there's a executive, judiciary, and a parliament where we have Congress. So they have a system of government in that way. But above that system of government is the what's called the velayat faqih, which is the supreme leader, and the supreme leader is protected by the IRGC. Now, that's really the heart and soul of the regime. So this is the part of the system of government, one of the three branches of government underneath it. However, like I was saying, this symbolic display of instability is something that could essentially, the way that this regime collapses is if the IRGC begins defecting. And this show of instability is something that could cause the IRGC to reconsider their alliances and start defecting. And if that happens, that's going to be the revolution that will succeed in Iran.
Who was likely behind the missile attack on Israel a few weeks ago? Would that have come from him, or would that have come from the supreme leader? Who would have given that order?
No, it wouldn't have come from him. It would have come from the IRGC, which is above which is above the government. But, they're all part of the same system.
And is there chaos around all of that right now?
There is a lot of chaos, but it's something that the regime is trying desperately to conceal. When the news broke at first, they were saying that nothing's happened, nothing's wrong, everyone's safe. They are really trying to show this kind of strong front. Even the supreme leader, who's been battling cancer, who's been sick for many, many years, they say he's in perfect health. They really do not want to give this appearance to the world or to the country that they're falling apart, which is something that everybody knows at this point. And this is just the best evidence of the fact that they are falling apart.
It just doesn't make sense, because this was a 1960s helicopter, from everything we can understand, and it was being flown in really bad weather conditions, apparently, over treacherous terrain. And with the president, it just doesn't seem very planful.
No, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Because this is a regime that, embezzles money from its country, which is obviously very rich in natural resources. The supreme leader is worth more than $100 billion. They have literally hundreds and billions of dollars, and they couldn't even invest in protecting their chief senior officials. And that is exactly what lends to the appearance of such instability, that they don't even have investment for the president and the foreign minister to take a helicopter ride in treacherous conditions. And that's the thing. They have nothing to blame. They have nobody to blame but themselves for that. You can easily try and pin this on somebody else, or that this was a setup, or this was an assassination. But, knowing the conditions, that to me sounds very self-inflicted, and a very good sign of their lack of stability.
What effect do you think this will have on the war right now between Israel and Hamas?
I think obviously they're going to be distracted a little bit because of this. It's really hard to say. I can imagine right now they are doing a lot to try and figure out how to pin this on Israel. Obviously, we don't know anything, so there's no point in trying to speculate. But I'm thinking that that's the first go-to, is that because, they just took out another one of their senior commanders a couple of weeks ago. And even when the USA killed Qasem Soleimani, they tried to blame that on Israel as well. So there's a good chance that they're going to look to blame Israel for this. And then maybe something will happen in terms of some repercussion or some, I don't know. In terms of the war between Israel and Hamas, I think what it's showing is that side, the Islamic Republic and their proxies that are responsible for this war, that side isn't winning. And not only is it not winning, but it's losing badly at this point.